Hello friends, welcome to bispsolutions.com. My name is Amit and today I'm going to show you how to use format mask in FDMEE. So we have one flat file today. I'm going to load the flat file into my Essbase financial cube, and the way data comes to me in a flat file we cannot directly load into our Essbase cube. This requires some kind of transformation. I'm going to show you an example how to apply format mask in FDMEE. This is fairly simple example. As we proceed further, we'll talk about more advanced examples. So let me show you my cube and the data file. So I'm going to open my Essbase cube from my desktop client or from my web client. So I log into my Essbase administration service, and um, this is my data file. Okay. So in this data file, I need to perform the format mask to this number. Okay. Let's open the cube and see in which format we need the data. Okay. So this is my data file, and how do we need it? My Essbase financial cube is same what we discussed in the previous sessions. I'm going to start my application, and then I start my open my outline structure so that we see what we like to load it. This is my data file. If you look at this, the first is your account dimension member name. These account dimension member names are actually different kind of revenues. So if you look at my income statement, there you find total pre-tax income from operations, and gross profit. So these are my types of total revenues, right? Is called hardware, support, consulting, training, and all. But the way it comes from my source system, it does not exactly match what we need in Essbase. Therefore, we need to perform transform masking. Okay, so this is my data, right? And how do we need it? This is available in my source, and how do we need it in our target? I need only GL numbers 4110. Okay, so I'll apply a format function. Format function use certain keywords or character. So asterisk represents all character. Hash represents ignore. If I want to ignore some member, I write hash. And question mark represents single character. So my transformation is fairly simple. I want to take a substring of fifth character to next four character, right? So I can apply format mask. In this example, I want to ignore first four characters, so I'm going to put 4 times hash. Then I need next four character. Then I further want to ignore next four characters, so I put hash. Okay. Because the size of my all members is same, therefore I can apply format marks. Had it been a little more complicated, we could have used a split function, or there are more functions, methods are available. Okay, but this is a fairly simple where I can simple hide first four and last four character from the source, right? So let's see how to do this. Quickly check. First member is your account dimension member, and second is your period, then year, then scenario, version, entity, and product. And this is my data. So let's do the same thing. First we start our data management called FDMEE, and then we have got two tab over there, setup and workflow tab. Setup tab is required to set up only once. We need to define our source and target application. So that I already did. I quickly show you once again how to do that. These are 6 steps we need to follow as we discussed in the previous session as well. First, we need to set up a source and target system, then define import profile, and then we define location, time, period, and scenario, which is called category over here. Then we define our data load mapping. There we define source to target mapping, and we create and execute data load rule file. So first the data goes to my staging table, followed by my target application, and then export data to Essbase cube. Fine. So this is setup tab. You see what I already done. System setting I already done in the past sessions. So you define folder name and you create folder. This you need not specify. Source system I already configured, which is my flat file. Target system we configure now. So target system Target system is a financial application. You see, FinOp. If you want to see how to do it once again, I can do it right away, and I'm going to create another cube. Select my source as Essbase, and my source is continue to be my financial cube. It takes few minutes or few seconds to populate the list of all the Essbase cubes. Oh, so you can define, or I can use an existing cube over here. It might take a little more time. So fine, I see the list of my Essbase application. I select my financial application. Okay, I already configured as a target application over here, therefore it is not appearing in the list. So I can pick the same application, and you look at this is your target application. Okay, called financial cube, and then the mapping I have already done in my previous session. If you look at carefully, first is your account, which field number 1. Okay, then entity, period, product, scenario, version. So account maps to account. This specify how data will land up to your staging table. So there's a fairly simple one-to-one mapping. Account goes to account, entity goes to country, because entity data type is country in Essbase. And from product, scenario, version, year are all mapped to my user defined attributes. This is the name of my table column. Okay, and the data type dimension type is generic in this case. Account type is account, entity type is country, and remaining all of them are generic except period. So target application setting is required to be done only once. An important point over here to define format, import format, where you define what is what, right, and the order in which they're supposed to appear. So this is I already done in a previous session. In FinQ, you see, I've got one-to-one mapping, right? You can create another format, import format, just name it. Source is your ERP, which is your flat file, and my flat file is mapped to my Essbase financial cube, and the delimiter is semicolon or comma. In this case, the delimiter is comma, so I select comma delimiter. So example, I name it as Essbase load format mask. Okay, I don't need a drill through over here, so I just click on save and define the column in which source and target mapping. So I define the order in which my dimension member appear. First one is your account dimension. Okay, your amount comes to 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Column number 8 is your account amount. Okay, and then you have entity 1 2 3 4 5. Sixth is your entity is sixth. Next is your product, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Product is 7 number. And then your scenario, fourth is scenario. Make sure you map them correctly. And version is your 1 2 3. Fifth is your version. And finally your year is 1 2 3. So pretty much all members got mapped. You can see over here account. Just calculate 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Perfect. I don't need to define any expression, so I'm going to save it. That's it. Import format done, and then I define location. So I create new location and name it as Essbase load format mask. Okay. Define import format, which just now we created, Essbase load import mask format mask, and rest I keep all the these are two mandatory property you need to define. Rest all of them you can make it default. Okay, and save it. Then define period. In this example, I'm going to load data only for January 2016, right, which is already mapped. I can use a global mapping, or I can do an application specific mapping. So you can select application, and the application is financial cube. and I already see the mapping already exists over here. Source is January, target is January, and target year is FY16. So mapping is already done, therefore I can skip this part. For period dimension, finally category. So all data in this example going to actual scenario, right? So which I already pick up from global mapping. This is all we have done in the past and previous sessions. This is all straightforward. Now let's move to the workflow setup. This is important. In data load mapping, we are going to define a format mask, right? So select your location. In this case, my location is going to be Essbase load format mask, and the period is January and category is actual. Then define the mapping. For account, I'm going to use a like mapping and define add. So I say uh, all source asterisk represent all goes to my format mask. You remember we prepared format mask in Notepad. I'll take the same format mask and I name it as account dimension net income. And in a similar way, I'm going to map it for my entity. My entity in all are going to be a straightforward mapping. So all source entity goes to all target entity in this case. I name it as all entity. Then I map it product. Same way, all product from source goes to all product to target. No transformation. All product. We have transformation only for account dimension only. Okay. Scenario also make all scenario from source goes to all scenario in target. Rule name all scenario. And then we got version and product. That is also straightforward mapping. All version and all year. So far we have got only 1 year of data. Right, all mappings are done. Seems good. I go to data load rule and define my data load rule. So click on new data load rule. Make sure your location is correctly selected. So location is Essbase load format, period is January, scenario is actual, source is your flat file, and target is your Essbase financial queue. Okay. So define mapping. I call Essbase load format mask. So I'm going to load this to a scenario dimension actual for a single period in this example. Just point to your data file. So my data file is income net income format marks. Okay. And that's it. Click on save and you can execute this. Click on execute. Okay. So you will get a process ID and execution ID. So you define a import from source and export to Essbase queue. For the period of January, only one period of data I have, and it is going to replace all data. Alternatively, I can append it. So in case you're loading data for QTD, YTD, you can append it. Invoke, run. It takes few seconds. Just make a note of process ID and extract ID. So in case you like to automate this, create a batch file, you need this process and extract ID. Right, continue to refresh it. It will take few seconds. Meanwhile, I can watch the log file which is being rendered, how the load is proceeding. You can watch the log file as well in detail. So so far the import gets started now. Seems everything good. I'll wait for a few more seconds and then I'll find the import is done successfully or not. Right, import done successfully. The green symbol appear. It says import done successfully. Go to data load workbench and there you find what all has happened so far. So you see the pink color fish which represents the import done successfully, validation done, and finally export done as well. The interesting thing is this. Okay, so source entity map to source entity. There's a one-to-one mapping for every dimension member except for account. In account dimension, this was my account ID from where I pull only the middle 4 character, right, and other character got formatted. I use this option. So wherever I use hash, the respective member got ignored. Only the middle four character has taken, right, your system. This is done. Let's quickly log into a workspace, a smart view, and check the output just to make sure the numbers are, we can see the numbers in Essbase or not. Yeah. So I connect to my smart view. I'll go to the same intersection, connect to my Essbase queue, and do ad hoc analysis. Oops. Right click and ad hoc analysis. So I confine my focus to this intersection only. I need data for the month of January. So I say I need data for January, keep only. For year, FI16. For scenario, I'll take scenario as actual. And the version is working version. I select working version. As per my source, I have got data for January FI16 actual working version, and my entity is enterprise global. So I take entity as enterprise global, and product is no product or P underscore 30. This is my product. Now let's see the different account dimension member. Under all accounts, under net income, total pre-tax income from operation, and gross profit. I loaded data to these intersection dimension members, and this is your data. You see the same intersection, you can see the data over here, right? So hardware is 1200 and support is 2392. This is how you can perform format mask and load data into Essbase queue. This is a simple example. In subsequent session I'm going to show you more complex transformation. So that's it for today. Should you have any question, you can write to us. Our website is baspsolutions.com. Your questions are welcome. And thanks for joining today's session. Have a great day ahead.